Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so there's a lot of information. I was finishing up writing it in my journal as opposed to just leaving it where it was and reading it off pieces of paper. And it just turned out that there was a lot of information. So I'm just going to start, or I feel that there's a lot of information. 2/19, February 19th. I keep having visions of demons. When I was clearing my energy during the last video, this energy came in masking itself as divine source energy. It was expressing love and gratitude towards me. Then that expression of love became overbearing, smothering. It started boosting my ego, telling me how wonderful I was and how much I was needed and how much it needed me. I knew this wasn't right. This is not how balanced source energy engages, at least has engaged me in the past. So it was very distorted. I created a field around me, then started pushing through the energy. So I put like this field around me, and then started pushing out that energy that was around me. I started pushing out on that energy, and when I got to what I would call the edge, like the outer edge of that energy, I saw a physical manifestation of source energy. So I kind of saw this physical manifestation of what I would call source energy, or God, or however you want to look at it. But there was still a thin veil of unbalanced energy between me and this source energy. It was translucent, but it was dingy, like a dingy in color. It looked like looking through a piece of, I wanted to say, the first thing that came to mind was like silly putty. It was just something I used to play with as a kid, and most kids my age used to play with. And it's like a clay type substance, but it's also rubbery, and you can flatten it and stretch it. And when you stretch it really thin, it creates like a veil that you can see through, but it's kind of a dingy brown. So that's what it looked like. It's just like this dingy veil between me and this source energy. Then I heard the source energy communicate, fire burns. Then I created a field of fire around myself and broke through the imbalanced energy. I reached out to the source energy, and everything was nothing, like the void. I realized there would be no more reaching out. Everything lies within. What was clear to me was this unbalanced energy was trying to convince me that I was great, that I was needed and loved, and humanity needed me in order to be saved, which is ridiculous. No one can save every human on this planet, and anyone who says or implies this to be true should be questioned. We all must look within and find our own inner divinity, bring it out and share it with the world around us. This is an individual journey which brings us back to unification, to oneness, wholeness. There are a number of phases leading us to absolute unification with the divine, which we know as moments of transcendence. Each phase brings us closer to wholeness, union, unity. And so I would say that anyone who says they can save every human or any human. So we all need to save ourselves. And anybody who says they can save you, or humanity as a whole should be questioned. And so then I said, anyone ever try to save a drug addict? And I say this because I have 2 older brothers that are drug addicts. And one's sober and the other one's not. You can't. They must save themselves, but we can support them on their journey of sobriety. So I learned through having 2 brothers that are suffer with addiction that really there's no way I could save them. As much as I love them, as much as I want to help them and save them, there's no way to do it. This is a journey they must walk, and they must overcome themselves. But as their sister, I can help them and support them however they allow me to. And I was always willing to do that. But one thing I knew from experience is you can't save someone from themselves. Okay, and that's true on all levels, in all things. We all need to find our way. Okay, this is a journey for us to learn and discover and gain experience in. Okay, if I'm doing stuff for my kids all the time, they will never become adept at whatever that thing is that I'm doing for them. So I can support them, but I just can't do it for them. Okay. Transcendence, transitioning to unity is the same thing. We can support one another, but we must find and walk our own paths. I can neither find nor walk your path for you. And so on the 21st of February, I don't know why, and this is probably why this video has a theme to it, at least for me. But I was trying to figure out who is supposed to remain through transcendence and who's not. And I was like just trying to feel the information. And I know Gladiolus and her people. I know the raptors. And I know the surface humans are supposed to be here. And I know the Anshar are not. But other than that, I really don't get, and the Alpha Draco living from separation also needed to be removed. But outside of that, I'm not absolutely positive. But I don't know why I got fixated on this. And so I was trying to channel the energy and figure it out. And then I just felt, there are some things I need to let go. And this isn't important. This is not an important factor of this change. Okay, the most important factor of this change is my releasing of anything that needs to be released and working towards walking my path and purpose. Okay, and so I had written a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to read because it's irrelevant. It's really irrelevant. And so then I went back to last week's video, the explosion of the origin star in last week's video. When I talked about that origin star and feeling the explosion, that's what came back to me. I tried to explain it as a feeling of energy welling up in me, but truly there are no words to explain it. So I tried to explain this welling up of energy up inside of me, until eventually I saw all this main star explode and connect to all other stars, right? Or create all other stars and create this interconnected web of stars, right? But I don't think I accurately described it. I don't feel like that was an accurate description. And so a few things came to me. How do you explain the emotions, thoughts, wonderings, spots, circles, colors, light, darkness, stars, unknowing, string, nothing, dust, becoming possible? And so I felt nothing but everything. I saw nothing, then everything. It was quiet, but I saw sound. It was trite, enormous, and infinitesimal. It was the beginning and the end. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I was trying to explain that last week, and I really, in the moment, I couldn't do it. And then as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't feel like that was even close to explaining what that vision and that experience was. And so this is what came to me. And so, like, when I talk about emotions, thoughts, wondering, spots, circles, colors, it was just like all things, right? All things in that moment were created. And so it was this controlled chaos of all thoughts, all things, all creations of this source energy from the void being manifested onto a material plane of existence. And so that was what came to me on the 21st. February 23rd. The weight we feel in our bodies represents the things we are holding on to. So I think it was last week or the week before, I was just talking about the weight, the energy that on the planet is just very heavy, and it feels like weight on my body. And so what came was the weight that we feel on our bodies represents the things we are holding on to from the past, the old ways. The expelling of energy that is being executed on and through Mother Earth will help us release the energy that is meant to be released. As we move through this transitional phase, it is important for each of us to find and surround ourselves with the things and or environments that help us find and maintain balance, or energies, places, or things that help us, support us in moving towards balance. So whatever those things are for each of us, we need to focus on finding to help us maintain balance. Draco works in tandem with the beings, energies on all worlds, as well as the divine, to determine the path, purpose, and outcome for his presence. He does not seize, appropriate, usurp their will, and take over their consciousness. Anything you have been told or led to believe that is contrary to this truth is misinformation or disinformation. So Draco's daughter, or progeny, or at least a part of her, has been reunited with Draco and will return to her world to complete her healing. This return to the world she has resided on is part of her healing process, as well as part of the execution of divine will and karmic law or consequences, be they positive or negative. So Draco, her father, has healed her and created balance within her. And so part of her healing process is to return to where the rest of her consciousness is and create balance there also for her. Okay, for her as an autonomous being. Okay. This execution of karmic consequences is a result of violating universal spiritual law, i.e., or in other words, worshiping false gods. That is the best way to put it into words. It can also be seen as a betrayal of trust, a lie, manipulation, false imprisonment, execution, capital punishment, killing, attempted assassination of the divine God. And those are the words that just came to mind as I was processing that information. There is a feeling of false imprisonment by those who followed the doctrine presented by the cabal, the Zeta Reticuli, the Watchers, Anunnaki, Alpha Draco living from separation. So through this whole process of what's been happening, there has been a attempt to separate us from this divine source energy, because this source energy empowers us. And to do that, they have to kill this idea of God, kill this idea of source energy, kill this idea of unity. Okay? Sorry about that. So they have to kill this idea of God or source energy, which is what's been happening. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this idea of false imprisonment from this negativity or this unbalanced energy. But they use fear, insecurity, in order to draw you in, and then kind of what's the word I want? They kind of seal the deal with, look, I'll take care of you. Just come here, and I'll take care of you. It's like drawing you in with candy and puppies, you know. Come, look what I have for you. Come here, and I will take care of you and protect you. And once they have you contained within that box, whatever that box is, the metaphorical box, then they can control you, right? And that's what I mean when I talk about false imprisonment, okay? And many of these other things, but I'll talk about it more through this video. I don't want to, so I'm going to keep moving forward. There is no more wiggle room. If you are looking through the lens of past, present, and future, the possibilities are dwindling. They are reducing. When my son, so that means when I say that, I'm talking about 3D. If you're still coming from that 3D place of past, present, and future, and you're looking at timelines and possible timelines, those possibilities are dwindling. When my son lies, he loses privileges. The time for exploring the possibilities is over. There is a reduction happening. Karmic consequences are being executed. The only thing constant in the universe is change. Options are being reduced in order to put those struggling on a path of success. So when I talk about there's no more wiggle room, and then I mentioned briefly when my son lies, he loses privileges, that's what I'm talking about. There's no more wiggle room. You lose the privileges that you've been given because you didn't do the right thing with them. Okay, we've had so many possibilities and so many opportunities on this world, and those possibilities and opportunities were bastardized, and they were used against humanity. They were used against Mother Earth. They were used for evil. Okay, and so now you will no longer have those opportunities. You will no longer have those options. Just like when my son lies, he loses privileges. These energies who chose that lesser option of manipulation will lose privileges, are losing privileges. Options, privileges, options, opportunities. At the school I work at, it is of no benefit to set our students up for failure. So options, let me read this last part again. Options are being reduced in order to put those struggling on a path of success. Okay? At the school I work at, it is of no benefit to set our students up for failure. We work to provide the supports needed to allow them to be successful without enabling. That is what the divine will do for those struggling. The divine gives us, the support needed to help them or us successfully move to balance. The divine narrows the scope of options to allow a greater chance for success. So they have less opportunity or less temptation to do the wrong thing. From a more universal perspective, and so I need to always, I don't want to always say that. I don't want to always say this, but it's important to note that as we grow and change, what we have access to and what is available to us grows and changes with us. It's just that some energies need to be taken back a few steps, reduce those opportunities and options, and grow from that place. Okay, not everybody can handle. I just had the vision of Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory, the original, with Gene Wilder, and going into the candy store, right? And all the different candies. Some kids will walk in there and, given the freedom, will eat every candy off the shelf. Other kids will walk in and just take maybe one or two are the ones they like and walk out, right? Not everybody has that type of self-control. So people who don't have that self-control need to have less options presented to them until they learn the self-control. Okay, that's a good metaphor, I think. So from a more universal perspective, and so it is the weaving through time and mending that is the healing and execution of divine will, karmic consequences. Okay, so, and this is an important thing. I feel like talking about 3D versus 5D, or this transition, is becoming part of the past. It does no help to talk about 3D versus 5D because it makes people feel like, I feel like it's starting to create a segregation between people that I feel it's not, shouldn't be done. So that is what the current paradigm is creating, segregation between the many peoples of Earth. And I don't want to do that, but I felt that what I was guided to do is to give people the tools to start to understand and see that they are bringing change into their life, right? It's important for people to see the signs, be able to identify the signs and say, yes, I am awakening. Yes, I am connecting to the source. Yes, I am starting to see the change in my life happen. And I know this because I was like this, but now I'm starting to see things this way. There was a time and a place where that was appropriate, but that is starting to fade away. So I feel like it's becoming more important for me just to focus on the present now and where we're moving, and those transcending, focusing on those who are transcending. Okay. So the Alpha Draco living from balance versus the Alpha Draco living from separation. Lightsaber, okay, and the 3, okay. It's been a while, maybe 8 to 12 months, and sometimes time gets I get very lost in this idea of time. I don't know how long, it could be longer, it could be shorter, but it's been a while. I talked about how the Alpha Draco living from balance were karmically obligated to right the wrongs of their brethren, the Alpha Draco living from separation. Right? So at some point, the Alpha Draco living from balance and the Alpha Draco living from separation were a unifying people, okay? And at some point, they segregated. They went separate ways. And there was a group of Alpha Draco who transcended, okay? They transcended. Not all Alpha Draco are the same. Not all Alpha Draco are part of this oppressive group that came to Earth that are living from separation, okay? So they came to Earth, those Alpha Draco living from unity, living from balance. They came to Earth to remove the Alpha Draco community living from separation, who were residing within the inner Earth, okay? There was a conflict between these genetic brethren. So the Alpha Draco living from separation and the Alpha Draco living from unity, they had a conflict because the Alpha Draco living from unity, it was their karmic obligation to come back and remove those Alpha Draco living from separation. Even though they weren't part of that breakaway civilization, they are still obligated karmically to the Alpha Draco collective. The Alpha Draco collective is still karmically obligated to humanity to right those wrongs as a whole, okay? So the Alpha Draco living from balance were karmically obligated to right the wrongs of their brethren, the Alpha Draco living from separation. They came to Earth to remove the Alpha Draco community living from separation, who were residing in the inner Earth. There was a conflict between these genetic brethren. I talked about how I, with 2 other spiritual warriors, moved through the conflict with what looked like lightsabers, making the most minute adjustments to assure the balance was maintained. We executed the will of the divine. These are the adjustments that are made to create healing, assure balance, and the will of the divine is executed. This is done in every now moment. It is done simultaneously, as there is no past, present, or future, only this moment right now. Okay, so I'm going to go into that more because more information came later, but that is an example of how the divine comes in to create change and adjustments to make sure its will is done. Aloneness, the draw to others to quell that aloneness. Where is it from? And so I started writing like the thoughts that were going through my head right before the information starts coming. And so that was what was going through my head. Aloneness, the draw to others to quell that aloneness. Where is it from? Where does that come from? Why do people feel that? It is from the bombarding of, and there are many places that this comes from, but this is the information that came to me in the moment. So it's not just this one thing, but there are many things. But this is the thing or things that came to me in the moment. It is from the bombarding of information that tells us to want connection, or that as humans we need connections, so we seek that out. Then, simultaneously, we are told through the media and movies, magazines, books, and now social media that we cannot trust those connections or relationships. We then have an alternate provided. Pornography, prostitution, friends with benefits, dating apps, where you can be provided temporary satiation, connection, without the worry of betrayal. This is an insidious way to promote separation while manipulating humanity into feeling connected, even through depravity. The true journey is to learn to love the self unconditionally. In order to do this, you must know your value and understand the value of every single one of your experiences, the most beautiful and most depraved. Be better today than you were yesterday. Do your very best. That's all I can ask. And so that is what I always tell my kids. Be better today than you were yesterday, and always do your very best. If you're always doing your very best, that's all I can ask from you. And sometimes your very best is only 50% of what you could potentially do. But if that's all you have in that moment, then that's enough. Okay? That's all I ask, is that they give 100% of whatever it is they're trying to do, of whatever energy or talent or gift or whatever they're expressing, whatever they're doing. I want them to do their very best. And it doesn't always have to be head in, all in, 100%, head down, focused. Because sometimes we have bad days or low days, or we're just struggling in general. So if 50% is all you have to give, then that's enough. Feeling divinity's loneliness is the same as our regret. Find value in your experiences and release the rest. Divinity is ultimate beauty and love in its wholeness. We intermingle and exist within the whole of unity. There is no loneliness in unification. This is the lie of separation. Divinity is not lonely, but experiences this emotion through this existence. She feels it the same way we feel regret, but moves herself into and out of these experiences. The healing and perspective is provided as I weave through the different levels of consciousness and existence. So healing and perspective is provided as I weave through the different levels of consciousness and I mend. Okay. February 24th. Things are being revealed like the water, okay, like the water treatment plant in Discovery Park. Okay, so there are many things being revealed, and so I went hiking yesterday, and this place I love to go, Discovery Park, and there's trees everywhere and green everywhere, ferns everywhere, and then you hike through and you can go to the beach, and then you walk up the beach and you can go to the lighthouse, and there's 2 beaches that meet at a lighthouse, and it's just really pretty. But behind the trees there's a water treatment plant that you can never see because there's so much vegetation in Washington State. It's actually quite lovely. But I never could see the water treatment plant because it was covered. And last year, I think it was last year, 2022, there's a lot of rain and flooding, and like pretty much the hillside really fell. In a lot of areas, there was a lot of damage. So I took my kids to go hiking. We couldn't go the usual trail because there was they had it all closed because of all the mud, the sliding mud. And so we haven't been there since then, about a year. So I decided to go Friday because I could, and I went the way we normally go. And as I'm going through the trail, all of a sudden there's no trees, all the trees are gone, and I could see the water treatment plant. So when the hillside came down, it took out most of the trees and all the vegetation that used to cover it. And so I'm looking at it going, ew, this isn't quite the hike I remember. And I went all the way down to the beach, and as I was going, I was like, well, the message is they can no longer hide the lies. They can no longer hide the darkness. They can no longer hide the manipulation. The same way this water treatment plant was revealed through the weather, through the storms that created the mudslides, and there was no way to like put up a fence tall enough to hide it. There's going to be many truths that are revealed, and there's going to be no way to hide it. And I was watching Cosmic Disclosure the other night, and they were talking about how Google Earth is manipulating and hiding, some stuff. They're manipulating the images, and I'm like, you don't need to see it to know that there is manipulation. You don't need to see it. If you connect to the divine through your higher self and ask and receive messages with clarity, ask and receive messages, you'll get everything you need to know. So these are things I know. But I feel like the videos are to share the messages that I receive. So a lot of the stuff, the messages I receive, that's information for me. I'm supposed to share it through the videos, but there's a lot of stuff I don't talk about because it's meant for me. But I get information all the time about a lot of things that are happening, but I can't tell everybody everything, and I can't share everything. First of all, it's not meant to be shared with everyone, but you just can't tell people things. You just can't say, and I've tried years ago. I've tried, look at this, can't you see the manipulation? Can't you see what's happening? Our economy's going to crash. I mean, 4 years ago, 2020, I was saying that 3 years ago, and nobody wanted to hear it, and I got attacked, and I saw the writing on the wall then. But I can't share what's coming in because people aren't ready for it. And so some stuff just needs to be held within, and I carry it, and it's just meant for me. But all this stuff that's being revealed, we don't need to see it. We don't need the media. We don't need the news. We don't need cosmic disclosure to tell us this. We can access this information through our connection with the divine if you open yourself up. Okay? So the next, make no bones about it. Cosmic disclosure, telling their audience before governments, revealing truth. So these people who are coming on cosmic disclosure to do these, to tell people about this before our actual government, the United States government or the Italian government or the French government or the Russian government or any government across the planet, for them to tell their audience before governments, revealing the truth is a controlled execution. They have called it soft disclosure. This is not truth. It is part of control. Collective psychosis does not exist. It was an attempt to manifest this condition. So, Randy Kramer had said something in a past video about, they were worried about humanity finding out about certain things or finding out about aliens or finding out about X, Y, and Z because they were worried that it would create a collective psychosis. What they were doing is planting seeds to create a collective psychosis. Because if they never said it, nobody would ever know that it existed, nor therefore it could never be manifested. Their reveal is an attempt to manipulate and control through fear, while simultaneously manipulating you into believing they are doing it this way for the greater good. Should I, and so, as I get this information, I feel like it could be very off-putting for people. I feel like people who are very committed to certain truths or certain avenues or certain people to get information from or certain organizations to get information from could find it off-putting, or they'd be like, oh, they won't receive it, and then they'll reject the information and reject the person sharing the information, right? And so I asked myself, should I or shouldn't I? Should I even be doing this? And so the message came, never doubt your intuition. Have faith in divine source energy. This is something I know. But sometimes the messages are so intense that I have to ask, should I really be doing this? And then receive that affirmation. Okay. And especially, and I'm going to be completely honest, especially when I had started clearing my energy in the last video, and those demons came in, that imbalanced energy came in and started like trying to feed my ego and tell me how much I was loved and needed, that distortion, I was like, okay, so now this unbalanced energy is getting very desperate and really trying to come in and force and move me out of center. So I have to be very discerning. I have to look within, and I have to ask myself, should I be saying this? Is it okay? And so I answer myself as I sit with that information and allow the energy to flow through me. It shows me my direction. It indicates my direction. It is the letting go that is challenging. It is the letting go that is needed. Allow others to come if they choose. And so that's the other message that came in. After I said that, never doubt your intuition, have faith in divine source energy. It's like now, and I'm trying to reveal, like show people how they're being manipulated or how the manipulation happens so they can identify it. It's like, because I really want people to transcend. I really want people to open up. I really want people to open up and receive this divine source guidance, but I can't force people to do it. Okay? And so it's super strong all week. It's time to let go. It's time to let go of those people. It's time to let go of that feeling that I should do that, or I need to do that, or desire to do that. That feeling to do that, to that desire to do that, right? It's time to let go. It's time to allow people to make the choice for themselves. It's like You've given all the information that you can. You can't keep repeating the same thing over and over, hoping that people pick up on it this time. Because really, it's been so long that people have really committed to one path or the other. So, and so this video is probably the last one that I'll have a lot of this type of information in it. That's what I feel. But to be honest, I don't know. Each video is done in the moment. The information comes, I write it down. But like these moments are very much inspired by the information that's coming through me, or into me, or is part of me, however you want to look at it. There is a tarot reader I'm aware of that makes accurate predictions about political or government events that are happening right now. It's shock and awe, but no longer a concern. These events are mere shock and awe. They are not of any concern. This is the path to Cepheus. Let them and their followers go. Stay on your path. Be paladins of love and light. So if you're focused on the political events, on all the events that are happening, the nuances, then you're not focused on the right thing. Because this energy, this negative energy had so much force behind it. They built up so much force over the years, a flow of negativity. And like the beginning of 2020 and all the events that happened, that was like their punch of energy that they were hoping that would drive them through transcendence and allow them to hold on to control of this planet. That was never going to happen. But right now that energy is petering out, and all we're seeing is that what remains of that flow of that unbalanced energy coming to fruition in very small instances or experiences. And so these people who are reporting these events, they're keeping it in the forefront of your consciousness. And that in and of itself is a tool of manipulation to force you to be at that 3D level, focusing on this negativity that's happening in the world, thinking that you are empowered because you can predict it, or that you have some control over it. It's just shock and awe. Look how good I am. Look at what I can do with my tarot cards. It's just shock and awe. Oh, I'm so impressed. Oh, I'm going to follow that person and see what she's doing and what she's saying, right? Or he's doing and he's saying, right? That is no longer where humanity's at. Not for people who are moving to a higher level of consciousness. Learn to work with the fields of energy and beyond, also stages. Start with the fields and build up from there. And so I work with fields all the time. And one of my first visions, when I started meditating, I took that class and I was told to bring the light in and bring it through me and then ground into the earth. And I almost within a week or two, I was like, that does not feel right. And so I kept on seeing this light come down through me and cycling around. And I'll show you the vision I had. It's a torsion field, which I didn't even know what a torsion field was until like 3 years later. But I showed somebody it. I'm like, this is what I saw when I was meditating, and I started using it. And he's like, do you know what that is? And I'm like, no. He's like, it's a torsion field, and it's a theoretical model of the creation and destruction of the universe, cyclical creation and destruction of the universe. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. But it was because it was just a vision that came in that I drew, and then I used. And then, like I said, a couple years later, I found that model. And then like a year later, I met that person who told me what it was. And so that's my first experience with working with fields, was setting up that protective field around me. And then over the years, I built on working with the fields of Mother Earth and in the heart of Mother Earth and around the earth, and projecting fields out into different parts of the universe and so on. Like just really doing a lot of work with fields. But I didn't even know I was working with fields, to be perfectly honest. I mean, that came to me like 6 months ago, that all this work I was doing with Mother Earth and the heart of Mother Earth and around Mother Earth and all these beings in the inner earth, and connecting with beings across the universe. I had no idea I was working with fields, but that's what I was doing. I was creating fields and using them. And so, but I don't feel it's important to label things. I just did it because I was guided to do it. But these are different phases of my growth spiritually, energetically, that I've gone through. And so I told you that I no longer use the fields for protection, although sometimes I still put them up, but I was given new tools of protection, because the fields, I told you even how tears can be put in them, right? And they could, with my own negative thoughts, I can weaken my own fields. And so I have to constantly be clearing my energy and setting up fields of protection, new fields of protection, right? Or just constantly clearing my energy to refortify those fields of protection. But I was given new tools of protection that don't involve fields, although I still work with fields all the time. And so the message came in is that everybody has to walk that journey. Everybody has to walk a journey of their spiritual growth and what that means for them. Okay, and it might be working with fields. It might not. It might be something else. But there are different stages of growth and development that we go through, and they're cyclical. Okay? So this cycle that we're going through of the 3D, we started it, we've evolved through it, and now we're at the end of the cycle, and we'll go to another cycle at a different level of consciousness, right? Not all of us. Some of us will repeat that 3D cycle, and some of us will move to a higher level of consciousness, but I'm ending that 3D cycle, okay? And so on this journey of moving to a higher level of consciousness, my skills and my tools are increasing, and my abilities and what I know and what I understand, and how I can use those tools and that higher wisdom and understanding to create change and truly be a paladin of love and light, and bring beauty onto the world through my path and purpose. Okay, and we all have one that does the same, that will do something along those lines, but it's unique and individual. Okay, and some of us will work together, some of us will cross paths. We're all interconnected, but we will all be working together in different ways. And sometimes we'll work together for longer periods of time where our paths will be parallel for a very long time. Sometimes they'll just cross and come back. Sometimes they'll like zigzag. Just depends. But we're moving to a different place where we are growing and changing and becoming stronger in our center and our connection to the divine, which empowers us in different ways. Okay? So we have to move through the stages of awareness and working with energy, and what that means for each of us, because it is not the same for any of us. Okay? We have to move through the stages and awareness of working with energy and what that means for each of us, because it's not the same for any of us. No one can tell me that their way is the right way or the only way. Okay, so at this point where I'm at, this point where I'm at in my own growth, no one can tell me that their way is the right way or the only way, because I know from my connection to the divine that what my path and purpose is. So if you're trying to lead me on another path and telling me that I have a different purpose, that's out of the question. That's not going to happen, because I know what I'm here to do because of my connection with the divine. Then let's see, going back to 223, going back to February 23rd, this goes back to the situation with the Alpha Draco living from separation versus the Alpha Draco living from unity. It's also a metaphor for the internal battle of light and dark. So I did say I would bring that back up again. The three of us, there's three of us battling. So as the Alpha Draco living from from unity, and Alpha Draco living from separation are battling it out. There's 3 of us, me and 2 other gentlemen, who are moving through that room. So, and we're small. So the Alpha Draco, from what I understand, are very large, and so we are a fraction of their size. Okay. When I close my eyes and I look, I feel like, if we're standing next to them, we would like come up just above their ankle. Like, we're really small compared to them. That's what I'm seeing. And so, and as we, the 3 of us are moving through this room, I saw myself cutting the Achilles tendon of one of the Alpha Draco living from separation, making microscopic changes to assure the divine prevails, represents the divine support we all have to fulfill our path and purpose. And so as I see myself doing that with that lightsaber, cutting the Achilles tendon, we're making like small, minute changes in the events that are happening in that space between the Alpha Draco living from separation and the Alpha Draco living from unity. We are making those small changes to make sure that the will of the divine prevails. And what that shows us, and what the message we should take from that, is that the divine is always intervening, or is part of this experience, even though it's not physically like manifested as a human being or any being. It's working through us to create the change that's needed to create balance in the universe. Okay. And so it's kind of ironic that I said, even though the divine is not physically manifested, because the divine is physically manifested through all of us. But meaning that we don't have this energy, light energy, saying, I am, and I'm here to create the change that we need. That's not how it happens. And so I looked in my book, The Body's the Barometer of the Soul. I look at this all the time. And I looked up what the meaning of tendons is, and tendons represent inflexibility. So when I saw myself cutting the Achilles tendon, it's cutting through that inflexibility to create flexibility, because there is a inflexibility in this Alpha Draco living from separation, in that they don't want to see and open themselves up to the divine. Same thing with the Zeta Reticuli. They do not want to see or have anything to do with transcendence or growth or any perspective that's not their own. It's inflexibility, okay? So, we all want certain things in this life, but we are not willing to let go of the old to allow in the new. That is where humanity is, and this is a powerful discerning factor for transcendence. At the 3D, we are manifesting our internal battle externally. So at this lower level, or at this 3D level of consciousness, we manifest our internal battle of light and dark out onto the material plane. Okay, a strong message came in. I don't think there's much more I can say about that. Okay, so if at the 3D we are manifesting our internal battle externally onto this plane of existence, what's happening at the next level of awareness? And I've gotten a lot of messages about that. But I can't, so maybe that's where my next video will go, about what is going to manifest from this higher level of consciousness on Mother Earth. A strong message came in about the Zeta Reticuli. A strong message came in about how the Zeta Reticuli are manipulating many worlds across the universe. I stated that eventually all worlds would experience the depth and breadth of emotion. Tim from Germany, he's on Cosmic Disclosure, who has been on Cosmic Disclosure, spoke about how beings of other worlds would enter the consciousness of, let's say, a fighter pilot in World War II to have that experience. I spoke about this in a previous video and discussed the karmic implications, but I won't talk about that now. And I don't know what video it was, it's been so long, but many beings across the universe fear this experience, fear the experience of what's happening on Earth. They know what has happened on Earth and would choose to avoid it or merely experience such events like watching a movie or playing a video game. That is essentially what they are doing when they enter the consciousness of a human, to witness these experiences, because that is what to witness these experiences. That's what they're doing. They are witnessing the experiences. They are not living it. Okay? And that's very, very important to note. When you witness the experience, if I'm sitting and watching a movie about something, about World War II, I'm not experiencing World War II. I'm just watching it. Okay? Even if I'm playing in a virtual reality simulation, I'm still in a virtual reality simulation. I am not experiencing that. I am watching it. It is not the same thing. Only the person experiencing it, the World War II pilot, receives the karmic credit experience from that. The karmic credit for that experience. Okay, they will benefit from that experience spiritually, energetically, in this lifetime and the next. Okay? Okay. This is the Zeta Reticuli technology. So entering a consciousness while it is, so entering a conscious being who is existing here on this plane of existence. Someone coming into my consciousness, someone coming into your consciousness. That is Zeta Reticuli technology. Okay? That's what they do when they move their consciousness from that unit, because all their consciousnesses are housed in a unit. When they remove their consciousness from that unit and put it into this these mechanical bodies that they've created, they don't look mechanical. They're almost they are I feel like a gelatinous material, a low level existence. They put their consciousness into that mold. Okay, and let me just talk about this really quick. All energy has consciousness. Okay, so if they're going to put their consciousness into something they've created to house that consciousness, it has to be a low level consciousness. It has anything, all energy in the universe has consciousness. Okay, and so if this Zeta Reticuli are going to put their consciousness into something so that they can move and be mobile and not be housed in that unit, it has to be a low level consciousness. So something like plastic or rubber. Metals isn't very pliable, but maybe they have a certain type of metal that's liquid that they can use, but like mercury. But they have to put their consciousness in a lower level consciousness so that that consciousness can't usurp their consciousness. Okay, can't overpower their consciousness. That's their technology. I'm not sure where they got it from, but when they move a consciousness into, like, let's say another human to have that experience of that fighter, World War II fighter pilot, that is Zeta Reticuli technology that is doing that. Okay, at least on this world. So this is Zeta Reticuli technology. That is the message I received. They manipulate these worlds through fear into joining their collective under the guise that if they join them, they will not have to return to source energy and experience the depth and breadth of emotion. Transcend the way of the Zeta Reticuli and never have to experience the depth and breadth of emotion. They are attempting to usurp the will of the divine. So they're telling these people, there's so much fear about experiencing the darkness of this world. There is very dark things on this world, okay? And these worlds these other worlds across the universe are very fearful of this. And the way that the Zeta Reticuli are manipulating them are telling them, like, if you join our collective, you'll never have to die, you'll never return to source, right? And you can exist from this place, okay? Because as we pass and we reincarnate, we go to different worlds. We could go to Earth, we can go to any world in the universe, right? And so the way to not have to reincarnate is to join the Zeta Reticuli, because they feel like they found a way to usurp the will of the divine. But like I said in past videos, that collective psychosis is what they're experiencing, and their consciousness is seeping out of that unit that they have created to house their consciousness. And this is another example of how they're trying to kill the divine, kill God, kill source energy. And I'm going to say kill in quotation marks, because really that's impossible, because they don't exist without it. We, humanity, were the first to experience the depth and breadth of emotion. The universe has the opportunity to learn from our experiences. The universe as a whole. I'm not talking about source energy when I say that. I mean the the universe as a whole has the opportunity to learn from our experiences. What will they do with that information? What will you do with the information that you have from what we've been through? We've done the heavy lifting. We've done the hard part. We were, many of us were willing to come in and take the brunt of the potential negative of this experience. This could have gone a very positive way, but it went a very negative way, and we took that risk, and we moved through this experience on this planet, and we are being rewarded. Okay, we will transcend. What will you do with that knowledge of our experiences, knowing that eventually you will carry the depth and breadth of emotions? What will you do with this information? And as I say that, I got a very strong message that people who have been here from the beginning, and I see Atlantis for some reason, and I see the primordial ooze, and I see the like different beings before Egypt. I see us incarnating in each of these lifetimes. I see us living through the best and the worst of these worlds. And many people who have been here since the beginning, they are the root of Mother Earth, and they will transcend. And I feel like that's a message coming through, because many of these people are probably some of the most traumatized, but they are also the most centered in their energy. They have the most potential to find their way out, or they've already set that intention to find their way out, or over so many lifetimes here on Earth, they have fallen and experienced so much darkness and always found their way out. Just like I have, I always find my way back to center. And so these energies who may be struggling even in these moments have shown over lifetime after lifetime that they have always found their way back to balance, and that they will transcend. And that's a very strong message that just came in as I was talking about the Zeta Reticuli and them usurping trying to usurp the divine. I just started having these visions. So I'm sorry if I just kind of maybe broke out and I might be missing something because I've lost where I was. But that message came in so strong, I had to say that. So I'll just go back to what they do with that information. And then, okay, I think this is, oh God, I hope this is, I was watching the Avatar, and I don't even know, it's an animation series on Netflix. And this is what was said by this wise energy in the show. The true mind can weather all lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can tough the poison of hatred without being harmed. And I was like, this isn't a cartoon for kids. I thought that was really deep and very true. And then it says, since the beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light. And I would say on this plane of existence, that's very true. But I felt it was important to note that there is no darkness or light in the void, because there is no duality in the void. There is nothing but an awareness of being. And then it said, it is time for this world to end in the fire and for a new world to be born from the ashes. And I was like, maybe that was like a subliminal message in the movie, because the Revelation talks about this world being destroyed by fire. And so I just found that to be a very interesting synchronicity. And then I hope this is it. This is so long. When Jesus walked the earth at his time of crucifixion, he left the world. He gave them what he was meant to and left them to work through their faith and trust. So he gave them all the information they needed to work through their faith and trust, to find their faith and trust in source, in the divine, in God. Okay? That's what he did. At this time, we will transcend. We will not leave Mother Earth. We will witness the divergence and releasing of energy. We will bear witness to those who chose to hold on to old ways. We will release this energy, drive forward, heal, and transcend with Mother Earth. The strongest message this week is the releasing. No more bridging the gap between the old and the new. Everyone has made their choice. It is not that everyone is perfectly living in the 5D. It means that your words, actions, and most importantly, your intentions have set you on your path. I personally must let go. I always do as I am guided. I am not sure how this letting go will manifest in my videos. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I'm just gonna say someone posted something on social media about has anybody noticed the sun is white? I've noticed the sun is white now for a really long time, and at least for the last year, and I think that's important to note. I feel a lot of ambiguity. I feel the energy is shifting. I had a friend of mine reach out who I haven't spoken to in a while. I was very happy to hear from him. But to me, that is an indication of him overcoming something and change, like a massive message of change, because and I don't want to get into actually why, but I do feel an incredible amount of change happening in the best way possible. And I do feel letting go. Like I'm having to let go of a lot of things that I've been trying to hold on to, or I've tried to carry with me or bring with me, or to help see the world from a new perspective. I just feel like all those things that I thought I was letting go of, really I need to just cut the tie with those things, people, energies, and I feel like this person coming back to my life or reaching out to me is an indication of the things, the good things coming back in. As soon as I release these old things, new things will be coming in. And it's really important for me to heed that message and to honor that, and to remain steadfast in my disciplines and make that another one of my disciplines consciously. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.